Hi, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Okay. There we go. There it is. First of all, thank you guys all for being here. Thank you for coming out. My name's Ruffin. I'm an investor in Upkeep and just really excited to moderate this panel tonight. Before we get started, a few thank yous. First of all, thank you to Tiffany and the Upkeep team for bringing us all together. Thank you to Sous for this amazing space for the treatments. And also thank you to the Aluma team as well for the awesome treatments. And thank you to all the vendors that are providing the food and drinks. Awesome. So just to start, I will introduce our panelists. So on the very end, we have Maggie Sellers. She's the founder of HSR Media and Ventures. We have Tiffany, the founder of Upkeep. We have Amanda, the founder of Sous, and we have Blair, the founder of, or the director of operations, excuse me, of Aluma. I'd love to just start the conversation with a little bit about you and your businesses and what first motivated you to work in, and Maggie, for you, invest in the medical aesthetic space. So whoever wants to start.
I mean, I have the mic. I guess I'll start here. Can everyone hear me? Okay, perfect. I'm Tiffany Demers, the founder of Upkeep, and I really created the platform because I was the customer and it's what I wanted to exist. So I really struggled. I was always on the go, very busy. And in particular, I wanted a hydrofacial and I felt this weird wall with my phone where I couldn't see what was on my area and get on a reputable provider's calendar. And so I thought, oh my gosh, like the next generation of personal care is now around treatments and devices, specifically pharmaceuticals and devices. And there's no marketplace yet for that particular industry. And I just was really passionate about the industry and the future of where it was headed and a personal consumer. So I built the matching layer between the best providers in every city and consumers looking for those treatments and wanting to actually get on the calendar on a certain day and time. And now here we are. Maggie, I'll give it to you.
Hi, I'm Maggie. I probably don't need a mic. My voice is so loud. So hopefully you can hear me. But yeah, I started HSR. It stands for Hot, Smart, Rich. It's actually a dichotomy I've struggled with my entire life of being a female and being very driven and, you know, wanting to be in business and be taken seriously, but also express my femininity and express who I was as a female. And I was working in corporate VC at the time, and I just felt like, why do women control 85% of consumer spend, yet we get 2% of venture dollars? Like, this is fucked. I'm the consumer, and I need to create change. And so I did it in a super polarizing way. I start every video like, I'm a hot, smart, rich girl living in Beverly Hills, and it's super polarizing. I've gotten torn apart on Twitter multiple times. But it's so worth it because when I was 21, I invested in things like Upkeep and, you know, women's health like Alara and just like amazing women founded in 4 businesses. When I was 21, I went to go get my top lip filled because it didn't match my bottom. I have 10 years on that appointment and it's never gone down. So I have no idea what's in my lip. I had no transparency into the industry, and I just realized that change is needed. And so medical aesthetics is something that I feel like beauty is coming from within, and we're really seeing changes that are long-term and lasting. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm the consumer and I'm an open book. So I'll talk about literally anything, which is scary.
Hi, I'm Amanda. I started Sous. My story is a little bit interesting. I started it at 40, which is a unique age to start a business at. So just a little backstory. My background is in advertising and marketing, but then I took 12 years off to raise my kids at home. Between 37 and 40, had a dark time. Just knew I wanted to go back to work, didn't know what I wanted to do. Always loved skincare. So as you ladies, like from a client or a consumer, I loved everything skincare. Went to visit my best friend who moved to the UK, heartbroken she had moved, and that's the first time I had had a buccal massage inside your mouth, and it literally changed. It changed. At the moment, it was just the lift that I saw, an instant lift, but inside me, it did something as well, and it wasn't till recently that I put it all together. About a year ago, Sulafast means beneath the face because we really focus on the lymphatic system, the nervous system, and the circulatory system. And when I took the course to get trained, I was trained in Germany by the Russian sort of guru of facial scalp lifting. The second part of the course was the emotional side of it. And to me at that point, that didn't really mean much. It wasn't until I opened my first location in Toronto where people started to really have these crazy emotional releases. People were crying, people were telling us things they'd never spoken about. And at that moment, I realized, I went back and took the emotional side of the course, but realized that the nervous system is so powerful. And when we work, like our nervous system, our circulatory system, and our lymphatic system, they work synergistically together, and the whole body is just one thing. So when we release and we touch, and human touch is so important, and when we get into the releasing of the muscles, we tap so deeply into the nervous system that we put you into that rest and digest, and it taps into that parasympathetic system, which when I say after that first facial, 6 years ago, I felt different. That's why. Like, I didn't know if I wanted to have a nap or like run a marathon. Like, it just felt so amazing. And now we've really transitioned into a whole body wellness center. And our next move is lymphatics, which is brain lymphatic drainage, and just can't stop. I'm not going to pass the microphone.
Well, damn, Maggie. Hi, everyone. I'm Blair. I am the director of operations with Aluma, and Aluma was founded in late 2020, early 2021 by two brilliant women. One of them is here, Tracy Dugan and Lindsay Hacker, in collaboration with our medical director, Dr. Lofkus. And Lindsay and Dr. Lofkus both are aesthetic injectors, and combined they have over 30 years of experience injecting. And with Tracy and the two of them putting their heads together, they definitely saw a void in the aesthetic space for progression for entrepreneurial injectors. And so what I mean by that is injectors who have been working for the man, right? Like in these aesthetic spaces, building up these practices and really not being compensated fairly for that, right? And they've built these clienteles, they're perfecting their outcomes, they're going to these trainings, oftentimes paying for that out of their own pocket. And so really we wanted to create a space for them where they could be supported and empowered to go out on their own and start their own business. And so that's really like the core values of Aluma is empowering women to then empower more women, right? The consumer, because I really think that these aesthetic treatments, there's nothing more empowering than spending this time and committing to this for yourself and walking out and feeling really good about the way that you look, right? And so we've, when I came on with Aluma, it was in mid 2021, we had 4 injectors. We just we're opening up our 20th location later this month. And, just we're powering through and really sticking to those values. And again, it's all about like, let's build up these injectors and really help them do it on their own.
Amazing. So the medical aesthetics industry is obviously growing very quickly. There's always a new treatment coming on. Would love to hear more from each of you, how you've seen the consumer evolve since you've each gotten into the business and what you really see as the future of care in this industry.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally transformed in just the past couple years. Like one of my best friends, her husband had said to her, if you ever get Botox, I'm divorcing you. But she'd been doing it for 6 years. I mean, that was just a few years back. And now it's really something that the younger generation not only wants to post all over their social media, but sees it as something that they should be proud of and able to talk about and actually understand that someone shaming you for wanting to do personal care is no different than when, someone says, take that photo off of Instagram or don't get eyelash extensions or whatever it is women have to deal with mostly on a daily basis. So I think the stigma is totally gone now, which that has been a really exciting journey, as well as just the technology in this space has really evolved in just the past couple years as well. And where I really think that is kind of moving, like right now we have Botox, so everything's kind of been external or aesthetic, but where the industry is really moving towards is kind of that internal, external, using the pharmaceuticals and devices. So things that are kind of doing other internal solving problems like PRP hair restoration and things more in the longevity space, or semaglutide is, popular now. So just using these different tools instead of the kind of skincare and products we had of the past, but leveraging these different technologies now to really modify our avatar in a brand new way. And so I think the future of that will really be every adult over 18, not just women. It'll just be the new personal care category. So we really have built like the trusted marketplace Upkeep so that you can always find the best providers, the best devices in every city, and know you're getting a trusted treatment at wherever you go.
Yeah, I would say also, like, it's been really interesting. I just saw a guy that I was at Super Bowl with talk about getting Botox when he got home. And I was like, whoa, it's Jason Tarek. He said it on his Instagram. He was on The Bachelor. And I was like, whoa, that's the first like straight, very masculine male that's very open about getting Botox when they get home. Like, that's shocking. And then I think I texted you a few months ago and you were like, 20% of the industry is already males. And so I think we're going to see a lot more like gender come into the space, and just like, as Tiffany said, a lot younger of a consumer. I actually posted a video at Super Bowl because I'm 31, and a lot of people are like, what do you do to your skin? It's so good. I don't go in the sun, but I also have like a $15 skincare routine. It costs me $15. I don't buy an expensive product. I use Vaseline, I use Vanity Cream, but I've spent thousands of dollars getting lasers, getting Botox, and I have filler in my lip. And so it's just really interesting. Like, people are buying these like $200, $300 skincare products, and then they're like, I'm still not satisfied with my skin. And I think back to what I was saying before, beauty from within is such a holistic practice. It's not just fillers, it's not just lasers, it's not just Botox, it's meditation, it's eating in the right way, it's monitoring your glucose levels, it's all of the things that you're doing on a daily basis that I think make the biggest impact. So I'm very big on medical aesthetics being more about holistic medical aesthetics, and not just signaling, like, when we hear that word, it's like Botox filler. It's like, yes, it's also gua shaing every single day. It's like really simplifying your skincare, drinking water. These things all work, and a lot of them are free. And then you can obviously spend like however much you want on the expensive stuff. But yeah, I think it's really going to be taking a holistic view of your health. And that's really what shows up on our biggest organ, which is our skin.
I'm going to add to that. I'm fully into the longevity part. And like I was saying before, we really started with the facial, and that's what sort of put us on the map here. But in learning with the facial, learning with the lymphatic and the nervous system, that's pivoted us to the whole entire body, because really it works all together. We work a lot with, I don't know if anybody had the mini treatment, the facial reflexology, but when we go further into that, we tap into the trigeminal nerve. The trigeminal nerve and the vagus nerve are the exact link between the brain and the gut axis. What really changed my skin and how I felt is when I did the full head to toe testing, when I tested my GI tract, when I realigned all of the bacteria in my gut. I thought going into it, I felt good. I'm 45 now. Like, I feel like I'm literally 20 years old. Like, I have so much energy. I sleep amazing. I don't wear foundation. Like, it changed everything. And when we combine medical aesthetics and then from wellness from within, we can extend longevity for so long that it's just, it's incredible. Our new flagship studio that we're opening in Toronto is 3,000 square feet, and it combines everything from the brain lymphatics, the hot cold therapy, the PMF mats, the red light, all of your medical your lasers, everything else you have. And imagine that in one house where you can kind of just come. And then what the other big part that it encompasses is community. It's an area where you can come, you can hang out, you can have your IVs, because I recently had the opportunity to speak to the head scientist at Harvard, who also food compounded for the White House for 10 years. And I said to her, like, what's the biggest takeaway? What is it? Like, what are we going to eat? And she's like, nothing you don't know. Balanced diet. But the number one thing to longevity, to being happy, to being healthy is community. All of the blue zones, they all work together. So it's really important. We want to create this, we're calling it Sous Lab, to have a place for you to come and feel a part of, and be like, imagine a beauty parlor, barbershop kind of feel. You come, our recovery rooms, an open concept. And that's where like the real healing and real beauty from within comes into play. And it's coming to LA too. Very soon.
Right. Okay, so was this like, the question again was trends, like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just what you see, how the consumer has changed.
So I think like I'm a geriatric millennial, so this is the only time I'll probably say this, that thank goodness for like TikTok and social media and Instagram and things like that, that I do think the consumer today is more savvy when they come in for their treatments. They've seen a lot on videos, on reels and everything, right? And I mean, years ago, we were saying baby Botox and half syringes of filler and a lot of that, right? I think it's trending today that people are smarter. They're seeing these more full face balancing and rejuvenation with multiple syringes of filler in a sitting. And then they're seeing the before and afters online and really going like, oh, that looks amazing. She looks really natural, really impactful, you know? So I think really like that's what we see mostly, I think, in the Aluma practices is natural results with facial balancing holistically all over the face, even down to the neck. And I think that's what we're going to continue to see is a lot more of those trends.
Amazing. So you've each built unique, differentiated brands in your respective businesses. Would love to hear a little bit about how you guys think about brand building and how you've really built unique brands in the space.
Yeah, I think for Upkeep, honestly, that's like the number one thing. And I think it does come back to community and just the abundance mindset and always kind of collaborating with like-minded people and always kind of expanding your footprint and saying yes to things and really just getting involved with people that you think have the same kind of values as you do. And of course, we leverage social media quite a bit. I mean, medical aesthetics is one of the top searched categories on TikTok. So we do a lot of social, and we're kind of the first brand really doing these tutorials and talking about what the different treatments are, what to expect when you get Mastered or Botox, how many units are to expect, what it's going to feel like the first day, the second day, a week later, and kind of walking them through the process and really holding their hand so that the next generation of consumer can be even more informed on all of these treatments and kind of what to expect and things to look out for in the space.
I think mine's going to be a little different because I don't run a medical aesthetics practice, but how I describe building my brand is I wanted you to feel like you were at dinner with me if we were to go for dinner. I wouldn't just talk about one thing. I would talk about 5 things like business and beauty procedures and dating and breakups and friends. And I would talk a lot about business because I like to surround myself with people that talk about ideas, not other people. So I think like I just really am, my biggest compliment is when people meet me in real life, they're like, you're exactly the same online. Like you will say whatever online and then you'll say the exact same thing in person. And I try to train my team now that it's growing and there's like 5 of us, like even on the investment side, like founders know exactly what they're getting when they get me on the cap table. Like I will go to a Botox appointment and like film the entire thing. And I think that is my secret weapon because there's so much of like the boys club culture in startups where it's like, fuck, it is like so crazy to go to some of these events. I was on a yacht this summer with like literally 40 dudes. I'm one of 2 girls and I'm just looking around being like, I am trapped on this boat for 4 hours. Like I have to make it work. And I think that's the secret weapon. Like I'm investing in women businesses so that you guys have the stuff that you want. So I just try to be myself. Like what would I actually want to exist? And I think that's just like the way to build my brand. I don't know if it works for everybody, but that's how I built mine.
I feel the same way. Our brand is very much based on education and just wanted to, everything that we stand behind, everything that we bring in is all science-based. I truly believe it from my heart, like the lymphatics that we're getting into. I don't know if anyone's really familiar with it, but the studies are showing now that when a lot of neurological diseases can possibly be prevented. When they do brain scans, they're finding plaque buildup within the brain canals. And what that is, it's the lymphatic fluid, which turns into metabolic waste, over time turns into plaque. These are diseases as you age, like you don't have Alzheimer's or dementia as children. Like you have these as you get older, and that's just your lymphatic system, and that's what detoxifies you is not working properly. So just being on the forefront, the cutting edge of all of the new things coming and implementing them and just taking that first step. And when I started the business 5 years ago, again, at 40, like I had no idea what to expect. So I made a pact with myself that I didn't know what I didn't know. So anybody who offered help, anybody who offered a meeting, anybody who offered advice, I took it. Because I had no idea what, even as exhausted as I was, or didn't think it would go anywhere, I never knew what that next step would look like or who that person might introduce me to. And I literally went from a depressed housewife at 37 to 40 to opening a location in Los Angeles, and we're heading to New York and Miami, and it's truly anything is possible. About 3 months into opening my Toronto I also opened March 2020, like right at the beginning of COVID, and I started a business during a global pandemic where we put our hands inside your mouth. So I'm like, this is fucked. Like, I don't know how, like we're gonna do it, but I just made a pact. Every day I went to work, saw a gap in the industry when a movie was being filmed in Toronto. Toronto was really tough with their lockdowns. You weren't allowed to leave your house. Like, you weren't allowed to go into somebody else's house. But I'm like, how the fuck is this like movie being filmed? And then my background in advertising, I'm like, well, I have no content, I have no branding. I'm going to invite all the socialites into Toronto and be my models, because that's apparently allowed, and it was a gray area. And that's how I got some traction in. And you take flights away from them, you take dinner parties away, restaurants, like they were available for facials. So it worked. And then we just never giving up, and just the constant curiosity and need to explore is how I really feel I built my brand. And I just couldn't be more grateful, and truly anything is possible. Oh, I was saying 3 weeks into it, where I really knew I was kind of onto something, I got to work on set with Future and Drake, and my kids were like, who are you? And then I'm like, well, now I know really anything's possible. And it just kept rolling with it, and here we are.
Okay, so branding. So I think what makes Aluma's brand unique is we only partner with advanced injectors. We vet our injectors really, really well before they come on board. And so, our goal is to have any consumer, any client go to any provider and feel like they're seeing the best of the best. They're seeing an injector that's at the top of their game. They know facial anatomy. They know how to treat everywhere on the face, neck, and body. And I love we talked a lot about community up here too. Another huge thing in our branding is community over competition. And really we're huge on that. It's just, we really want to uplift this community and do our part to empower, these providers. So, yeah.
Love that. So we talked a little bit about trusted providers, going to vetted providers. One, why is it important to be going to a vetted provider? And two, how should we think about finding vetted providers? And are there any red flags we could look for in providers?
Oh my gosh, yes. So the industry has gotten now so confusing for the consumer because there is so much available in the market. And, not every business cares about the end user and is willing to buy fake machines, buy fake pharmaceuticals, and cut corners. So with Upkeep, that's pretty much like our most important concept is that every single provider on it, and that's why we work with Aluma and Sous, is vetted, amazing, and using the actual vendor sold products and devices. And I think there's just a lot of things that could happen to you if you don't know what you're doing. So we really like to kind of be there and then hold your hand as you're kind of trying to figure out how to enter the medical aesthetic space, but also what is good and what's not, and really that information transfer around what's available, the pros and cons, and why it's important to go to a reputable provider. I mean, there's so many reasons, but even some of the, the energy-based devices can melt facial fat if you do it too strong and at too deep of a level. So it is not just the machine, it is the practitioner. And so you do want to pay for someone that knows what they're doing and understands facial anatomy and really have the trusted providers. And so many things can go wrong with so many different treatments. But if you go somewhere good and don't go to Groupon and book on Upkeep, you're in good hands.
I would say for me, I like to go to a provider who doesn't push it on me. So like when I go in just for these, like don't tell me I need my whole face for it to work. I will walk out. So I think that's big. And then I think I like somebody who tells me like, here's what I would do. And it's really not a lot. It's like, if this is your desired outcome, like this is the bare minimum. If you want to do more, you can. So that's for me a huge red flag. Obviously, yeah, I have like something in my lip that I have no clue what it is, which is so terrifying. But looking back at that experience, it was because it was 10 years ago. It was so like stigmatized and I couldn't tell my family or my friends or anything. And it was in this like upstairs room somewhere. So I think even as soon as you walk in somewhere, you get the sense of like, is this legit? Walk out if it's not. But yeah, that's typically how I tell. It's just like, are they pushing product on me or are they just listening to what I want to do?
I'll tell you a scary story.
That's what I was hoping for.
So at our Toronto clinic, we have Morpheus 8. I'm sure you're familiar with Morpheus. And we also have Votiva, which is vaginal rejuvenation. It is astounding how many clinics have been caught reusing the needles. So that breaks the skin. Like that is disease. That is whatever you could imagine. And I don't know which is worse, reusing Votiva, which is inserted into a woman more than once, or having used needles. So really important to know, really important anywhere you go for a service. If anything that's going to penetrate the skin or penetrate you, make sure you watch it come out of a surgical. Yeah. Anyways, 2 places near us shut down, one here and one in Toronto. So it's really a thing. Wow. Crazy.
Wow. Like, oh God. So there are a few things that I would say about this, I think, in terms of like finding a vetted provider. I say to always look for somebody who continues their education in this industry and goes to trainings and I mean they're everywhere, and there are some really advanced ones, not to freak everybody out, but like cadaver courses where they can peel apart things and see underlying like arteries and veins and really, really understand layers and depths and where to inject, right, for safe and not only safe but ideal outcomes. So look for somebody, I think, that continues their education. I would say that would be a red flag if somebody was stagnant and didn't really maybe thought that they knew it all and wasn't interested in continuing that. And always look at their before and after photos, look on their Instagram, or if they have, most providers have a before and after book or something, even on an iPad where you can look through and see, so you can see their work. I mean, usually it speaks for itself. And find an injector that'll tell you no, too. So, there are plenty of times when I would ask injectors, put more in my lips or something, and they'd say, no, we're going to dissolve you. We're going to start from scratch and then we're going to do it. We're going to do it the right way. And I'd say, okay, all right, and 10 times out of 10 after I would be like, I'm so glad that I listened to her. So.
Amazing. And then before we open it up for Q&A, I'm going to do a rapid fire round of questions. So the first one is, what's your number one treatment that you will always make time for?
I mean, I guess I'll just go with Botox. I mean, that's one I can't live without.
I don't need the mic. I'll do Washa every single day, hands down, and then Botox.
And I'll do our triple R treatment once a month for sure.
Botox or a toxin. I mean, Dysport and Daxify and, Xeomin, they're all, in there. Face and neck, guys. The neck. Once you do that, it's a game changer. It's such a game changer. I'm 38. I only started doing that like 4 years ago, and I will never go back to not doing my neck when I get my face treatment. So add that on. It's worth it.
And then what is one treatment that's maybe not worth the money, or one that you would just stay away from?
Oh my gosh. You go first.
Okay, yeah. I personally like Morpheus 8. It works for me, but apparently it doesn't for other. I have a fattier face, so it works for me, but if you don't, I've heard it could be scary, so you're on risk.
I guess maybe cool sculpting. I know that's already out of vogue, but there's a lot of complications with it. And I think there are other devices now that do a better job at accomplishing the goals.
M-Sculpt. It just, but you have to do it regularly, like nonstop. But if you ever do the EMS workouts, way better, way more effective, also coming to our new studio. Do you know what they are, though? You wear a whole suited vest, 20 minutes is equivalent to working, doing 2 to 3 hours in the gym, and it like transforms you.
Sold, Maggie. I think it's called Hyaluron Pen. Have you guys heard of that? Run, run away. Again, going back to like finding these providers that know what they're doing, and facial anatomy, a lot can really go wrong with that. And occlusions that can be permanent and irreversible, and can even, extreme cases cause blindness. So I would be very wary. Don't do that. And yeah, again, run, don't walk.
We've all been warned. And then last one, what's either a new treatment that you've tried recently or a treatment that you would like to try?
So I did microneedling classic, but with exosomes, and I think exosomes are really exciting. I feel like I noticed a significant difference, but exosomes basically are synthetic versions of what we had been using with like the stem cells and PRP. So, people are getting very advanced with the stuff that's coming out that we can now use to just totally transform our anti-aging process.
I actually tried Emsculpt and I loved it. But again, I would say this, like every body is unique. And I think that's an area I haven't talked about is like what I'm interested in investing is like personalization. So what works for you might not work for somebody else. I also was like eating like amazing, drinking water, walking, and doing Emsculpt. So like I did see a big difference, but yes, you have to go a lot. But I personally liked it.
I'm going to agree with your exosomes. We have an exosome here that is synthetic. You can in the US get human tissue exosomes, but the synthetic ones are actually proven to be better because your body isn't going to reject them. You know it's safe, you know where the tissue is coming from. But we have ones that also have snail mucin in them and salmon sperm. It's real. It is so good.
How do I follow that? So the last time I had my Botox done, I got a treatment called Skin Vive. Has anybody heard of that? So it's the newest, we don't even really like to use the term filler, but it's the newest filler on the market by Allergan. There's nothing out there on the market like this. It's more like a skin hydrator. It literally, when you purge it out of the syringe, it's droplets. It looks like it's like little water droplets. And so it makes your skin look like a glazed donut. It's so dewy and really beautiful. Oh, so I got that done and just was hooked on that too. I love it. And it was 15 minutes. It was so fast. It was like bam, bam, bam. Nothing. Easy peasy.
That one sounds nice. Amazing. And now I'll open it up to any questions from the group.
How often? Oh, yeah, sure. When you were doing the Emsculpt, how often is often?
I went before Super Bowl. I went 3 times a week apart.
Okay.
Leading right up to it. So like 3 times.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. And honestly, I did notice a big difference.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Love it. Thank you. That was cute.
Can I add to that?
Both okay. So the Emsculpt is, but she said she was eating well and very fit and not drinking.
Yeah.
But if you do the equivalent, the EMS, which is even cheaper, it'll give you a cardio workout as well. So then you will lose weight and tighten at the same time. It's so good.
All we know is we're all canceling our gym memberships.
Anyone else? Anyone? Amazing. Well, thank you guys to the panelists. This was awesome. And enjoy all the treatments
everyone.
and all the goodies. Awesome.